Hi guys, my name is Roguru, or some of you may know me as TNFX, and I am currently a developer on Roblox, and I have decided to teach you guys how to script. So, first off, what is Lua? Lua is an open source programming language, which was developed on top of C, and Roblox uses a special version of Lua. So in this course, you will be learning how to fluently script in Lua. So first off, what I'll be showing you guys are the different types of scripts. So there are three types of scripts on Roblox, and those are server script, which look like this, local script, which look like this, and module scripts, which look like this. So what is the difference between server scripts, local scripts, and module scripts? Well, server scripts run on the server, known on the client, and module scripts are just containers filled up with code that can be run on both the server and the client. So what is a server and what is a client? Well, a client is your computer. So if you join a game and you see the main menu, most likely it is running on your computer. The script that operates your main menu runs on your computer. However, the script that lets you with the things in the game and lets the other players see what you're doing in the game is not run on your computer. It's run on the server. Now the server is located somewhere outside your house at Roblox. And when a player joins, his computer runs part of the code, and the Roblox server runs the other part. It is important to understand that the local scripts, the scripts that are run on your computer, can never change the server. That is very important to understand, because when you get to exploiting, you understand that exploiters can only access and change the local scripts. So you should not store any important data on the local scripts because exploiters will be able to change it and give themselves advantages and break the game. For example, you want a player to have 100 coins, he'll give himself 1 million coins just because you stored the data locally. Now, why wouldn't we just run all the code on the server? Well, we wouldn't run all the code on the server because sometimes you need only one player to see something locally, for example a main menu, or he opens some UI and he wants to say, okay, I want to buy something from this store. You don't want the entire server to see the store, you just want that player to see the store. That way you have to run it locally. Or you want to get the player's mouse position, then you have to do it locally. Now, what are module scripts? Well, a module script is something, it's a bucket that contains code. And this code can be ran at whatever point in the game. So, usually this code is rarely used. So, it should run one time and then it's done, and then in about an hour again you'll run it. So, it's not used oftenly. And the module script can be ran on both the server and the client. Now, what does that mean? So for example, you have some code in the module script right here, and you have a local script that needs to access this code. So you would call the module script. Calling means like saying, hey you module script, I need you. And you'd say, run your code. And the module script would run all of its code. If you're on the server and you want to run some code, you'd say, hey module script, run your code. And it'll run all of that code on the server. Now, that is pretty much it between the three types of scripts. Now, where do I usually store my scripts? Well, I usually store my server scripts in server script service, my local scripts in storage UI, and my module scripts in either replicated storage or in server storage. You see, the client, or the player's computer, can never access the server script service or the server storage. It never has access to that. So, if you would need a module that has to be accessed by the local script, I would recommend to store it in the replicated storage. Sometimes you have to store some scripts in starter player scripts or starter character scripts. We will talk about those in the future. Alright, now that we've learned about the three types of scripts, let's continue on to variables. So, what is a variable? Let me explain with an example. Imagine you're a scientist and you have some chemicals. Chemical A, chemical B, chemical C, chemical D. Let me quickly color them. Make this red, make this yellow, make this blue, and make this, I don't know, orangey color. So these are our chemicals, right? And you're gonna do a very long and complicated experiment, and throughout the experiment you're supposed to mix, switch out, and add these chemicals. So how would you store these chemicals in order to make everything organized, clean, safe, and easy? Well, you'd say you need some kind of beaker or a bucket, some sort of a container. Well, that's exactly what a variable is. A variable is nothing but a container that stores some kind of value. So for example, this is bucket A, and it stores value A. And then this is bucket B, stores value B, and so on. And whenever in the experiment you need chemical A, you just say, okay, bucket A, give me your value. Bucket A would say, okay, here I am. Here's my value. My value is chemical A. And then you say, okay, I need chemical B. Okay, bucket B, give me your value. Bucket B would say, okay, here I am. I'm bucket B. Here's my value. I store chemical B. And so on. Now, wouldn't it be just easier to just right away say, okay, I need chemical A come here, chemical B come here? Well, maybe if you're writing like a 2-line script, then sure, it would be easier. But what if you're writing some actual code that is hundreds, maybe even thousands of lines long, and you need to use something many times? So you need to store some kind of value that is going to be used many times. Well, of course, you could have just taken the value and then, put one here, put one here, put one here, put one here, and so on. But what if you actually what if you figure out that this value is incorrect and you have to change it? And you have hundreds of lines of code. Well, you're going to have to go find this value, change it. Find the second value, change it. Find the third value, change it. Find the fourth value, change it, and so on, until you changed all of them. Well, this can be very time consuming, it'll be very unorganized, and it's just not practical. But if you had a variable to hold these values, so you have the main one, so let's make this one bigger because this is the main one, and then you have the little ones. 1, 2, 3. Well, if you change the main one, these will all automatically update. Not only that, these will all have their own custom names. So it won't be just some random number or sentence flying around in the code. It'll have a name, for example, sentence A or number of cars. So it'll be very organized, very efficient, very easy to change. And also, if you come back to your code a while later, you'll understand what is what. Otherwise, you'll just have some numbers and it'll be very uncomfortable. So this is what generally a variable is. Let me show you guys a variable in code. Well, first off, there are two types of variables. There is a global variable and there is a local variable. Well, what's the difference? Well, imagine you have a script and the script has a thing called functions. Well, what a function is, it is like a module script inside of a script. So it's like a little container of code. We'll learn more about functions in the future. So, if you create a global variable, it can be accessed anywhere in the script. So let me create a global variable. In order to create a global variable, or just a variable, you just type out a name you want to name it. For example, I want to name this variable number of cars. Number of cars. And then you give it, assign a value to it. In this case, I'm going to assign a number. 20. Now, this is a global variable. And let me create a function. So, let's go car check. So, for now, you can ignore how I'm creating this one. And I tried to print out this variable. So I'll teach you guys what the print function is. Well, a print is nothing but it just prints the value in the parentheses out in the output. You can either print out a variable by just placing the variable, or you can put double brackets and then type the stuff and it'll print it out. So in this case, we're going to print out the variable number of cars. Number of cars. See, the Roblox Studio automatically fills it in for me. Great. Just press enter, and here we go. Now, let's create a local variable, but this time inside of the function. Local cool cars equals 2. Now let's try to print out cool cars in the function. Print cool cars. Wow, it prints out. But what if we print it out outside of the function? Print cool. Doesn't fill it in. Let's try to type it out. Cars. It's underlined in red, which means it's an error. So what this means is this variable only exists in this function. Once we exit this function, this variable is no longer there. It no longer exists. We could, however, do this. We could take it out. We could put it out here and then delete it here. Now you might think, well, this is a local variable, but the thing is, even if it's local, it's defined outside of the function. So it's just defined in the beginning of script, not inside of a function or anything. This means it's basically a global variable. It exists all throughout the script. So that is the difference between global and local. Local only exists where it's defined. Global exists throughout the entire script. Now, how do we name a variable? Well, here, for example, I named my variable number of cars. If you noticed, I started with a lowercase letter, typed out the word, and then every next word would start with a capital letter. That's just one way of naming variables. I could name it number of cars. I could name it that. I could name it number of cars equals. I could name it number of cars. What you notice here is I'm typing out the same word just in different cases. So, case is really important. Lowercase and uppercase. If you mess up one lowercase or uppercase, it's another variable. So I can say number of cars, and let me just delete these two so it'll make it easier. Number of cars, this, and then number of number of cars is already there. So let's print out both cars and print number of cars. And let's run our code, but just pressing run. Wait 1 second. Wrong thing. Let me just play it. There we go. 2420. So as you see, just one letter in another case is enough to mess up a variable name. You can never start a variable name with a number. So you cannot say one number. See, it's an error. You can never. The 1 is even highlighted here because it's a number. Like I said before, the best way to start off a variable name is with a lowercase word and then call it the second word with the capital. So number of the... You don't have to do this. This is just my preference. You can also do number, and then people use underscores of cars to separate the words. This might be what you like. I just prefer one word, capital letters. So that's how you name variables. What you have to keep in your mind is you can't name a variable a keyword. What a keyword is just a word that is predefined by Roblox Studio. This means a word like local, or function, or end, or enum, and so on. All of these are highlighted in these colors. They cannot be used. I will provide a list of these words in the description of the video. Just make sure your name is original and it's not part of Roblox Studio. It's not predefined to do something on Roblox Studio. So, all in all, this is what variables are. Let me show you what I showed you in the example here, how variables are more efficient than just numbers. Imagine we have to have a bunch of print functions, and they all have to print one. So let's just do a bunch of them. There we go. Let me play. Boom, it prints out all the ones, right? Now, we just realized, oh shoot, I have to make it number 2. And now, you have to go 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. See how many times I have to change it manually? That is very inefficient, judging by the fact that we can have something like, in the middle of the code, we have something like boom, and we have boom. So as you see, it'll be very hard to scout out the number 2 everywhere. See how inefficient it is? However, if we had a variable, local, cool variable equals 1, and then we print out the variable, cool variable, bad, there we go, and let's print it out again. Let's play. There we go, it prints out. But, what if we have to accidentally change the value? Oh shoot, we messed up. Well, let's make it 2. Play. There we go, it updated to 2. It's all really simple, easy, and efficient. And you know what you're printing. Hey, I'm printing 2 variable. I'm not just printing the number 2. I know what number I'm printing. I know what the value is assigned to, what the value means. Another important use of variables is checking if something is open or closed. For example, if you have a door, right? If something is true or false, if you have a door, and you want to check if it's open or closed. If it's open, the variable will hold true. If it's false, the variable will hold false. And that way you can open and close the door accordingly. So imagine the door is open. So we assign the value true to a variable. Then we close the door. And then we change the value to false. That is why variables are very important. Without variables, you wouldn't be able to really know if the door is actually open or closed. You would just know the door exists, yes, it's there, but is it open or closed? I don't know what value it is. So the variable is there to hold that value for you. Okay, now that we've learned the 3 types of scripts and what variables are, let's learn about data types. Well, there are multiple data types in Roblox, and I'll teach you some of them today. What I'll teach you is the Boolean, number, this is automatically frozen, like that. String, no. These are the ones I'm going to teach you today. Now what are these? Well, Boolean is nothing but true or just true, false. Boolean is just true or false. Number is 0, of guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and etc. String is just a sentence or words. Hi, hey, hi there, I am TNF Hacks. Easy. A string must be defined between double brackets, and nil is just nothing. Nil is nothing. So you can assign any of these to a variable. In another language, a variable can just hold a certain type of value, of a data type. In Lua, however, it can hold any data type. You don't have to predefine that a variable holds a certain kind of data type. Roblox takes care of you for that. So you can just create a variable, local variable, and then you can assign it nil. And then later on in the script, you just say variable, and then equals, and you give it a new value 2. And then later on the script, variable equals hi. And then later on we can just say variable equals false. And if we print out this variable now, let's actually print it out in between every single change. And let's delete this because this would be causing an error right now. Let's play. Let's see what the values would be. We get nil, 2, high, false. As you can see, it changed its value. And each value is a different data type. And we didn't have to say, hey, we're giving you a new data type, and this data type will be this. No, you just assign your data type, just change it. In order to change a variable, as you may see, you just type out the variable name, add an equal sign, and then the value behind it. We will talk more about assigning variables and what you can do with this in the future videos. Alright, now that we have learned the data types, let's continue to the last part of our video. Our last part will be comments. Now, comments are not read at the compiler. They're ignored. They're just there. They're just words. They're notes. So imagine you have a very long script that's just hundreds of lines of code, so on, just writing stuff, and so on. It's hundreds of lines of code into some very hard math. Well, in order to understand what that code does, well, you already understand, but you come in the future and you want to understand again what this code does. You just leave a comment. Hey, this code does math. And then when you come back in the future or someone else reads your code, they'll say, hey, this code does math. I know what this code does. I don't have to really dig into this and understand it. I already know what it does now. Now, how do you leave a comment? Well, 2 ways. You can do --, and then this is called a single line comment. You can write anything you want for as long as you want, as long as it's on one line. If you go to the next line, it's no longer a comment. And then there's also dash, square bracket, square bracket. So 2 square brackets. And everything between these square brackets will be counted as a comment. I can say, hi, my name is TNF Hacks. And all of them is written, all of these words are written on a separate line. As long as they're between these square brackets, they're considered a comment. So if I run this code, no error, nothing, it was a run. There's nothing there, just a comment. Overall, this was our lesson for today. Thank you for watching. I suggest you do some exercises, maybe print out some variables, play around with them, you know, switch them around. It's very helpful to actually do hands-on coding, because if you just watch these videos and say, okay, I understand, you won't learn anything. So I really suggest you open up Studio and you play around with all the scripts, maybe add some lines here. Do not suggest using module script because it will not work. Just use local script and server script and have fun. Thank you for watching the video and see you.